So the difference between being churchy and chose is that churchy is a person that just go to church. They involved with the church activities, they know our church lingo, but to be chosen, you had a church in you, meaning that you're following after God's standards, his ways. And I know that word chosen be used out of context sometimes to me, but to be chosen is to follow after God, live that lifestyle that God's called you to live, because everybody's called, but not everybody accept that call of God in their lives. Like men are called, few are chosen, which is true because everybody's called. There are a lot of people that are called, but not everybody accept that call of God on their lives. So to be chosen to actually say yes to God and to walk in that way. So I do understand when people are hurt in church that they feel like it's a church fault, the church did this and that, but fail to realize that it's not the church that's the issue. It's the behavior and issues that people decide to engage in. And they so happen to go to church. I say that. Because when you have a conflict or problem with someone, you're supposed to go to that person. That's what God says. Confrontation do help in certain conflict situations because confrontation is a good tool. It's because when you're meeting that person one-on-one by themselves, not from your homegirls, not from your homeboys, but meet with them one-on-one, it's like that realist authenticity, it just sets in because now I'm one-on-one with this person. And I know sometimes that may not always go exactly as planned. Some people still put on this front of persona, even though they're by themselves with you one-on-one. But I just leave that up to God. If I done what I have to do on my side, my end, I don't have to worry about what they're going to do. So I just want to just get that, just say that too, when it comes to conflict. You have to go to that person. You can't just allow what a person do to determine how you're going to navigate your relationship with God. Like, I'm not going to let nobody in the church kick me out of the church. I love God, I love my relationship with him, and I know everybody in church is not bad. There are some very great people. There are some people that are living for God, that are really walking out this faith, walking out their faith. They really are walking out those biblical principles. But you can't just look at the bad people and what they're doing and what they did and let that outweigh the good that you see. You have to just understand this one thing. Everybody in church is not saved. And there are some people that are hypocrites. That's everywhere you go. Even if it's in business, even if it's in your family. Everybody ain't true, everybody ain't real. But that does not mean that there is nobody there that's not real and true. Of course, you're dealing with people. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with different people. So you're going to have that conflict. You're going to have that struggle as we learn and grow and try and mature. So as a church baby myself, I grew up in church. I understand what it means to be a member of church and actually work in a church, because you do see a lot of things. But I do also understand what it means to just go to church for going to church. Let me say it back over. I understand what it means to go to church for church's sake because your parents telling you to go. And I also do know what it means to go to church because you have that desire to grow in your relationship with God and that you desire to mature and you understand the need for a church in today's society. Growing up in church, I know everything. I know about the Bible, know all that. But I had to put that in me in my heart and live that out. And my test came when I was in, I would say more like my high school years going to my college years, because I was still dealing with rejection issues, still dealing with this people pleasing thing, and I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be the one that everybody be around and talk to and all that. And I feel like I had to play a different role. So when I was still, going to church in my college years, I was trying to hold up this persona. I was holding up this church persona so my parents won't say anything, that they'll see that I'm still doing good. But also on the college campus, I was holding up another persona that, I was engaged with this guy, in this relationship with this guy, actually my son's father at that time. And I kind of noticed how I was dressing so different. I was trying to act so different. I wasn't doing the things that, just a saved woman's supposed to do. I was doing things that was going against what I was raised with, those things I have. So when I got pregnant with my son, reality started to set in for me. And yes, I was hurt by people in the church. I was talked about during that time. It was a very hurtful time during that pregnancy because I really wanted to be shown that true love of God, because I do believe that we can say that we love God, we love people, but when that opportunity comes up, to really truly love on someone during their fall, and when they have made this mistake, and when they have sinned, and I'm not saying just calling them doing that or just say, oh, the sin they did is all right, but just kind of to bring them back into that love of God, bring them back into a relationship, with God, to bring them back to the cross. So during that time that it was painful. So I did feel like I didn't belong to church. I wanted to lead the church. The devil was putting all these thoughts in my mind, saying you don't belong there anyway. I was looking at all the issues I was dealing with. So, of course, I was almost making that decision until God really had to call me out and say, no, this is not who you are. I called you to be a woman of God. I called you unto me to be that leader, to be that example. So that is when I had to realize, okay, Shakur, you can't keep playing these two different roles. Either you're going to be in a relationship or you're going to cut it off. So I had cut off that relationship. I got to church, started working at church, and really started to be this woman of God, be an example. Now, when I moved away from my church home, my family, that's when the temptation started back again to lead a church. I tried a couple of churches out there in the city I moved to. I did, meet some people that have, felt a little offended by it, I'll say that, but I also met some good people. So it was kind of like a struggle then. Should I be in church? Should I not be in church? Also dealing with things as a single mom, things dealing with my son, financial issues. It was just a lot of kind of things that were weighing on me. Couldn't really talk to nobody then at that time about it. So when all that pressure came in, door temptation came in. Lust came in, and I'm like, okay, I need to relieve this stress. I need to entertain certain things, because I didn't want to go to God. I just wanted to see something outside of God like I did before, and see like I had to go through this whole lesson again. So when I got involved with this married man, and this was not to replace his wife, nothing like that. It was just this decision like, hey, he showed me attention. I felt like, let me entertain this. I found myself going down back into that same lifestyle that I left before that I got saved from. I found myself going back to that same type of lifestyle, sneaking around, doing all this. And yet my rejection issues was building back up, was piling back up, because during that time with this guy, this married man, I felt like a nobody anyway. I felt like nothing. I felt like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. Heal, come to my house, get in my bed, leave, and then that's it. Like, this was supposed to be for me. Like, I'm not supposed to be in this type of real relationship with somebody that's not married. I'm not supposed to get real type of love. I'm supposed to get this all. This is what I can get. This is what I need to have. And I just, I feel real down, and just, low self-esteem started setting, that spirit suicide, because I wasn't living up to that relationship that God's called me to. I wasn't living to those principles. I was trying to be this woman that I was not. And so when I had an opportunity to move out that city to the state that I'm in now, Arkansas, that I had to make that decision. So I took the opportunity, moved out, but after a couple months of when I was being here in Arkansas, that I also had make that decision to cut this relationship, or cut this engagement. What this was is more like I would say it's affair. I'm just calling it what it is. You engage with a married man, it's affair. I don't care if you're y'all friends or whatever, it's affair. It's cheating. That's what it is. And it's still wrong. So I had to come to this decision that, no, Shakur, you cannot do this. You are a leading example. So I cut it off, block them off my number, block on my social media, and came back into this position with God. Like, God, I'm going to do this for real. I'm going to have a relationship with you for real. Now, ever since then, been good. And I have temptation come back again to me, go into old lifestyle, yes. And have I entertained a little, until I had to bring myself back. Didn't do anything sexual and nothing like that. It was just a conversation. But I know how powerful conversations are. So I had to bring myself back to Shakur. No, little thing is going to be a big thing. Cut that off. So I'm now in this position where I'm going to live for God. And I understand what happened in church. I know what people do in church, but I'm going to be the example. You have to separate. This is what I mean by separate. You got to separate the church from this sinful behavior. What I mean by this the church. God's called us to live a holy life. The church. I'm part of the church. But you also have people that want to just be associated with the church. They like the idea of church, but they're living a sinful life. And they're not living out to be who God called them to be. So I can't consider them as a church. So when people are being hurt by other people in the church, you have to understand, where that comes from. And you also have to check yourself too, because yes, I've been hurt in church, but I also wasn't doing what God tell me to do. So of course that lead me out that lifestyle. I was living two different lives. So I can't blame the church for things that I have done, decisions I made. That I have to understand that God's called me. I have to do the right thing. And I can't be this churchy girl. I gotta be chosen. I gotta be the same woman. I gotta live one lifestyle. So I hope this helped y'all in some way. And I pray that you got something constructive out of, something encouraged out of it. And hey, share your thoughts. I'm open to conversation. So y'all be good, be blessed.